And that something came in the form of Petrificus Totalis. That was a curse that Hermione used on Neville.
Not a chance. I'm going to get my broom. I'm going to get a rope. I'm going to get something. I'm not just falling in a black hole.
Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles to Squibs Corner. I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew.
And man, we are just flying right through this book. We've got 2 chapters left, but there's been rumors going around for the HBO, not HPO, Harry Potter official, I don't know, for the HBO series that John Lithgow may have the role or is going out for the role of Dumbledore. And I'm going to call it unofficial because you know how rumors work. So as of what's today, February 25th, from what I see,
25th.
John, it's stated that John Lithgow has landed the role of Dumbledore. Whether that's true or official or not, I don't know, but we'll call it a heavy rumor that he might have landed that role.
I saw it on Twitter or X earlier today, and there's a quote from John Lithgow. Now, again, it's not from his account. It's from an account called Discussing Film.
Okay.
And it says John Lithgow confirms he will play Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series. And then the quote is, "It's going to define me for the last chapter of my life. I'll be about 87 years old at the wrap party, but I've said yes."
Wait, he'll be what?
87.
Wow, he looks pretty good for his age. I mean, he's not 87 right now.
I mean, so if it's a 10-year project.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's fitting, honestly, because Dumbledore is supposed to be an older wizard. And
yeah, he was born in 1945.
Yeah,
so he'll be 80.
Yeah, the only issue I have with this, it has nothing to do with his looks, nothing to do with his age. I think as far as that goes, he fits the role. Yeah. It's his voice. He's got like a high-pitched voice, not a voice that you would imagine for like this prestigious, powerful wizard to have. Although, like Jim Carrey, he did a serious movie. I think it was called 23, and he was completely different, sounded different, looked different. So, he's an actor, and I'm sure he can modify his voice to sound a little different.
He's played serious roles. He plays a role in my favorite movie of all time, Interstellar. But he just plays a grandfather. Like, he doesn't necessarily play anything that would command a presence like Dumbledore would. But I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like when I was a kid, he was in Harry and the Hendersons.
Third Rock from the Sun.
He was in Third Rock from the Sun.
That's what he's most known for. And for the younger kids listening, if you are, then they have no clue what we're talking about. But people our age know exactly what we're talking about. That was a great show back in the day.
Third Rock from the Sun, filmed 1996 to 2001.
That didn't run as long as I thought it did. I felt like that ran forever. It's not one of those shows that's still around, though. But, I don't know. Right now I'm taking everything.
He was in Harry and the Hendersons, 1987, Harry and the Hendersons. Man.
Yeah. I don't know. Right now I'm taking all of this with a grain of salt.
Not British. He's born in New York.
Yeah, I can't picture him doing a British accent. I just
that's
can't.
That's kind of the biggest thing that makes me. Obviously, he's got a very storied acting career, and he could play the part. But I assumed that they were still going all UK on this.
Well, I think they were. I think that was like a big part of it that they wanted to keep it all UK. It's just like I said when we did our HBO series episode, and I was like, I can't even give you a list of the actors I chose because it's terrible, except for Freddie Highmore. He's
now.
Not...
I did see a rumor that Cillian Murphy. I don't know if you know Cillian Murphy. He played Oppenheimer in the hit movie Oppenheimer. I would say his most. Did you watch the Dark Knight trilogy? Batman Begins,
No.
The Dark Knight.
I
Are you
really don't.
serious?
I really don't watch that much TV.
They're movies, number one.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
You never saw the Batman trilogy that Christopher Nolan did when Heath Ledger was Joker.
I've seen clips. That's about it.
Bro, what are we doing here? What are you
we're-
doing with your life?
It's a Harry Potter book review podcast. That's the extent of my knowledge. No, I got a little bit of knowledge, but
Peaky
you know,
Blinders?
not-
Did you watch Peaky Blinders?
What do you think? That death stare you just gave me. But going back to this, it's just I don't know, when if I see actors and I'm familiar with, and when I say familiar, they're act like I'm a fan of the actor and I see most of their movies.
Sure.
I don't want them in Harry Potter because it's just going to be awkward, you know? I don't know. It's just kind of, I mean, cool that I know the person, but it's just weird.
I would be completely okay with. So there's two things. I would love a completely unknown cast because that would kind of make it more real. I've never seen this person before in my life.
Yeah.
That's Dumbledore. Or somebody that has played, like Ian McKellen, right? He was in talks when Richard Harris passed away, the first Dumbledore, to take over the role. And he and Richard Harris had some beef in real life, so he didn't do it. But he played a wizard. He played Gandalf amazingly.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're getting somewhere.
I'm a fan.
So, like, if I saw him play a wise wizard, it wouldn't be far fetched. Like one of the rumored actors that they want to play Hagrid played Hodor in Game of Thrones, who he's a big guy and he's got that, you know. So it's like, oh, I could see that, but you know, to take John Lithgow, who's been in so many things, to then put him as, it's like, man, am I going to be able to take him seriously in the role?
But to be honest, I would have. I mean, we can't have it because he died. But I would have loved the first Dumbledore to play it throughout the movies. The second
Richard
Dumbledore,
Harris. Now he was a bit too over the top.
Yeah. But anyways, speaking of over the top, we're a little bit over the top with this pre-show chatter. So, man, 2 chapters left. This is chapter
Starting
16.
Now.
Through the trap door, and we're just at the 9-minute mark. We're gonna jump into our 7-word summary, just right into it.
9-minute mark for already a long chapter.
Yeah,
All right, am I going first on this one?
sure. Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
playing automatically, so
No, it was not.
there it goes.
There we go.
All right, Andrew, hit me with your 7-word summary, and hopefully it's better than mine.
Yeah, this one was difficult for me because so much happens in this chapter. So I zoomed out, and my 7-word summary is Harry Potter, boy who lived, chosen one.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
And I'll explain that as we get into the chapter, why I settled with that one.
I love in later books when he's just like, he just accepts it. He's like, yeah, I am the chosen one. It's just great. Okay, so mine is, I went with kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. So enough being good. Go through that door.
I dig it.
Yeah,
I
not
dig
fast, but
I dig it. No.
When you come up with these things last minute, like, oh, hey, we're ready for the 7-word summary. Let me think of something. It's
Yeah.
7 words. They're very difficult to come up with. All right, so we're going to jump into the first paragraph of chapter 16. In years to come, Harry would have never quite remembered how he managed to get through his exams when he half expected Voldemort to come bursting through the door at any moment. Yet the days crept by, and there could be no doubt that Fluffy was still alive, and and well behind the locked door because the three of them are complete psychopaths that keep checking on this monster of a dog. That's
Yeah, they've not gotten themselves into enough trouble. They figured keep going
no.
to the forbidden corridor. That's off limits to students unless they want to die a painful death. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So,
Keep doing it.
that sounds nice. I'm gonna go check it out, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna see if you're wrong.
What could go wrong?
Nothing. So, do you want to recap the last chapter we just had? Let's go ahead and do a little short recap of that.
Okay, so let's see. What was our last chapter? We were. Oh man, chapter 15, the Forbidden Forest.
Yes.
Chapter 15. Yeah, see, I had to put my thinking cap on. Okay,
7-hour
Forbidden
detention.
Forest. Yeah.
middle of the night.
The 11 o'clock detention that ends at sunup for these 11-year-olds. Where? Just in the Forbidden Forest where kids shouldn't go. But don't worry, Hagrid will be there, armed, because it's the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah. And,
Right.
and you won't be with Hagrid the whole time though. He'll run
he'll
off
send
and
you
leave
with
you there by
Fang.
yourself.
Yeah, he'll either run off or he'll leave you with Fang, who's a coward.
Yeah.
So there's that. So they're in there. They're looking for an injured unicorn. Along the way, they meet some centaurs. We meet Bane, we meet Ronan, and we meet Firenze. We find the injured unicorn that is already dead. And as Harry goes to approach it, a hooded figure crawls out from the shadows and begins to drink the blood of the unicorn. Because Malfoy screams, the hooded figure comes up, starts going at Harry. Harry's scar starts to burn. And then Firenze comes in, saves the day, and Firenze says, number one, you should never drink unicorn blood because you're cursed. You'll live a cursed life and you'll live a half-life. And Harry's like, well, who would want to live a half-life? And Firenze's like, hey, stupid, can you not think of anybody that wants to come back to life, you know? So, yeah, so now Harry's like, Harry's like, bro, I can't read Mars. I don't know what's happening here.
It's bright. That's all we know.
It's particularly bright tonight. So they go back to school, and now Harry is like, okay, Snape's a problem. Voldemort's in the woods. Snape is going to steal the stone. He's going to take it to Voldemort. Voldemort's going to try to kill me, try to finish the job that he started 11 years ago.
All of this after vowing to do the right thing and stay out of business they don't need to be in.
Oh, this is also happening the week of exams. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
Yeah. Here's my question that I'll get to later.
Okay.
Because there's just some things that I
All right. So,
yeah.
there's all this mayhem going on. And like you just said, they still have the end of the year exams. It's like when you're stressed out, and then for whatever reason you think I'm gonna stress myself out more. I think that's a good idea. So let me pile this on.
Did you ever watch the movie Gone in 60 Seconds?
I believe so. It's been a while.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Can't remember who plays his younger brother. I'd have to look. Anyway, but the villain in there, he goes, it never rains, it pours.
Yes. Oh,
And this is one of those situations.
yes,
never
definitely.
rains, it pours. You just going through all that traumatic stuff? You had to stay up all night? Voldemort was drinking from a dead unicorn and then he tried to come after you? Hey, study up, Buttercup. We've got tests in a couple days. What is happening?
So now I don't know about your school, but it's kind of like this, at least back in my day. When there's a test, the students all come together. They help each other out in this dire situation because nobody likes tests. At this point, I guess you could say no kid left behind because, oh man, the minute the teacher turns their back, it was on. Cheating as far as the eye can see, whether it was obvious that you were sharing answers or peeking at the next desk, having written them down on your eraser, on the back of your hand, on your shoe, whatever means it took you to cheat, you best believe it happened. That's, It's just a thing that happened. At least at my school, I don't know about your school. That happened at your school. I'm sure that happened everywhere.
I mean,
I'm not saying you were part of it.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
No.
Never, never, never. Now, you would think the same thing would go on at Hogwarts. Well, the teachers aren't stupid like Muggle teachers. Sorry if you're a teacher listening to this, but I guarantee if you could perform magic, this cheating would not be happening. And it didn't happen at Hogwarts because the Quills were bewitched with an anti-cheating spell. Now, I tried to find out what happens if you try to cheat when your Quill's bewitched with anti-cheating. I can't really find much of it except for a bunch of crazy theories. I don't know, Andrew, what do you think might happen?
Well, the only thing that I can think of is during the year 4 Goblet of Fire, Professor Dumbledore put a ring around the goblet to make sure that underage students didn't get past it.
Oh, yeah.
The Weasley twins obviously tried, and then there was obviously a drastic change in their appearance where they grew beards and everyone knew. So
I wish that could happen. If I could just have a drastic, like my beard just grows longer and I don't have to wait.
Yeah. And then you also have Hermione with Dumbledore's army. That if you signed the paper and then tattled, you would get, was it snitch?
Snitch written across your forehead, and then I think you're covered in boils or something like that.
Yeah. So, something that would drastically alter your appearance.
That makes perfect sense, yeah. But, so they didn't just have written exams, they had what was called practical exams too, like making a pineapple tap dance across the desk or turning a mouse into a snuff box, which I think is a tissue box. In America, at least.
That's a good question.
Making a forgetfulness potion in Snape's class, which I don't need that potion. I don't need to forget anything any more than I already do. Just like when we do all these quizzes, I know every answer. I'm going to say this probably every episode. I know all the answers, but if I'm asked, just like at work, I drive grapple trucks. I know every single road in that town by name. I can picture it in my head, but when somebody says, "Hey, can you go to this road and pick this up?" Where's that road at?
All right, so what was your guess what a snuff box was?
A tissue box?
Okay, so here's another inappropriate Hogwarts moment.
Oh, okay, here we go. Light it up.
Snuff boxes were used to store and carry powdered tobacco, also known as snuff. Snuff was inhaled through the nose.
What?
Why are the 11-year-old students
walking around with cocaine?
Why are they making snuff boxes?
Holy crap. At first I was like, oh yeah, snuff box. Yeah. Wait, through the nose? Hold on. This isn't what I thought.
That's what it says.
Oh no.
To hold powdered tobacco. Snuff boxes were popular in the 18th century.
I'm just going to go with, I'm pretty sure she meant like a tissue box.
Sure.
Oh, man. So, okay.
You're welcome.
Let's try to get past that.
You're welcome.
So back to this forgetfulness potion that I don't need. A forgetfulness potion it's pretty obvious. It's a potion that causes an unknown degree of memory loss in the drinker. It has some weird ingredients like Lathe river water, mistletoe berries, and valerian sprigs. And of course, points were deducted if the charm was not properly executed, which I completely agree with. Do it right.
I mean,
you got a wand. It's like you have a gun. If you don't learn how to use it, someone's getting hurt, and it might even be yourself. So,
yeah, do it right.
Do it right.
So obviously we've got the exams going on. Everyone's nervous. Hermione's on edge about it. And even Neville thought that Harry was pretty nervous about the exams. But
do you think that's out of character for Hermione being stressed out about the exams? Wouldn't you think she'd be excited?
Every year she gets stressed about the exams, which Ron and Harry hate because she's the brightest witch of her age. Yeah, and so Harry really doesn't care about the exams. I mean, he just he just had the, you know,
He's got more
near
important things to worry about, man.
yeah,
An
he's got the
exam?
Scarlet Figure, the Forbidden Forest, and his what's happening, and this is the first time we see this in the series. It happens quite a bit in the series. His scar starts to hurt a lot, and in it he says it goes. It feels like it's warning me that danger is coming, which is pretty astute, right? And the cloaked figure reminded Jeremiah of a Dementor, which we'll get to in two more books.
I tell you, it looks just like a Dementor. I wish they would have
Yes.
done that different.
So the history of magic was the last exam of the school year, and then it was a long wait to get their exam results back. And so when the exams were over, nobody really wanted to talk to him. I guarantee you Hermione was ready to talk about everything.
Yeah.
And most of the students were probably thinking, "Oh, I didn't study enough. I studied the wrong things," or maybe some of them thought they did terrible on the exams, but not Hermione. Apparently, she studied too much, memorized information she didn't need for the tests. Needless to say, I think we can pretty much guarantee she overachieved on all of the exams. So Hermione was that person. She wanted to compare everybody else's answers with her answers after the test. She wanted to talk about which one she thinks she missed. She wanted to talk about, maybe how easy was the test in her opinion. We've all met that student.
Yes.
And I was that way in
I
chiropractic
was
school.
gonna say, I was that way. What
Yeah.
did you get for number 12? Oh yeah,
Yeah. In chiropractic school, we had 5 national boards, and throughout school we had practical exams like they did. We had to go and do hands-on stuff. And national boards was real. I mean, you'd get out of one, and you're like, "Hey, what did you put for this?" Well, this is what that's so I'm. And there were definitely people that were like, "Could you guys please shut up? I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear what you put because it's just going to make me worry
yeah.
about." Yeah.
Exams. I mean, I can't imagine how Hermione feels with everything going on. Then they got the exams, and they're talking about the exams, and she's trying to make Ron and Harry take the exam serious with all the revisions and everything. And
Yeah.
I bet she'd be a lot more calm if everything else wasn't going on. But then again, it kind of seems like she's ignoring everything else. So,
Well,
something to think about there.
exams are always at the end of the year, and Voldemort always seems to be at his most dangerous at the end of the school year. So we only know the Golden Trio stressed at exam
Well,
times.
Voldemort doesn't like tests, so he's trying to prevent the
Makes
test from
sense.
happening.
Makes sense.
He's
Yeah.
doing them a favor. He's not evil. Everybody
What a
thinks he's
guy.
evil, but
He really cares about Harry's schooling. He waits until tests are over to make his move.
yeah. But like we said, Harry he just doesn't care about the exams. His scar just would not stop hurting, and he was getting mad. Like he was actually starting to yell, like, "Ah, why does my scar keep hurting?" He started to put 2 and 2 together, started thinking about why and when his scar was hurting, and hypothesized that it must mean danger's coming. Which,
He's not wrong.
I mean, he's not wrong, but what would make you think that danger's coming because your scar is hurting? Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around
Well,
why he
logically,
thinks that's a logical thing.
I mean, I think that with the timeline that they've got, they know all about the Sorcerer's Stone. They know somebody wants to get it. And I think, well, and he just learned a few days ago that Voldemort is alive. And he's outside of the school. And Snape is inside of the school. So I'm sure he's waiting for, like, he thinks danger's going to happen anyway. Now you just add the scar to it. And it's like, this has to be what it means.
I mean, it's a good thing that J.K. Rowling did, tie the scar back to Voldemort. It is from a curse, so it does make sense, but I'm just trying to think, like, that's a very astute observation for an 11-year-old to come up with.
Sure.
I don't know. Makes you think. But he just wouldn't stop complaining about his scar at this point. Nothing really mattered at this point except for his scar. So Hermione, being Hermione, told her, "Why don't you go see Madame Pomfrey?" And he's kind of like, "What am I gonna do? Hey, nurse, my scar hurts." No, that sounds just stupid. My scar hurts. What are you gonna? Can you fix
Yeah,
it? Get some Neosporin. Obviously, Harry knows it's not like an ordinary hurt. What's she
sure.
gonna do? But Ron reverted back to his post-test self and couldn't care less about anything going on, especially how terrible he did on the exam, because it was over now and he could relax. It's like that little bit of clarity. All your stress is gone. That bad thing you were dreading is over with. Now you could just relax.
Now
And
I can relax. So yeah.
he doesn't care about Harry's scar. Nothing. He's just. But he did reassure Harry that the stone was safe. And again, this is probably because Ron couldn't be bothered with anything at the moment. Basically, whatever he could say to get Harry to shut up and stop worrying about his scar, Snape, or the Sorcerer's Stone and Fluffy, he was going to say it. But there's just something irking Harry, like when you get that feeling that you've forgotten something, which, of course, if you have ADD or ADHD, that feeling, it doesn't go away. It's always there. And Harry kind of had that feeling that he was forgetting something or that he was supposed to be doing something important. And then it was like a light bulb just went off in Harry's head.
Yeah, I like this part because Harry has a genius moment, right?
An
I
epiphany.
like, yeah, it's like, okay, Harry, he's thought about all of this, all of this, all of this. And then
Oh,
they're
nausea, I
outside.
bet. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh my gosh, we got to get down to Hagrid's. And they're like, what? And there's boom, now they're running. So they get down to Hagrid's and Harry had to follow his intuition on this one, right? Which was good. So they get down to Hagrid's, right? And Hagrid's is like shucking peas or something like that. And Harry goes, Hagrid, when you got Norbert, when you got that egg, did you see what the person looked like that you were playing cards with? And he's like, no. I mean, he had his hood on. He goes, but you see that a lot down at the Hogshead. And he goes, well, basically tell me what happened. And he goes, well, I'm talking to this guy and I told him that I really wanted a dragon. And he goes, oh, I've got a dragon egg. Do you want to play cards for it? And obviously this guy keeps buying Hagrid drinks. And he goes, did you tell him you were from Hogwarts? He goes, yeah, I told him I was a gamekeeper and I deal with animals. And he goes, well, I really don't want this. I got to make sure that you can handle a dragon. And he goes, so I told him about Fluffy. If I can there aren't many three-headed dogs, roaming around. If I can handle Fluffy, I can handle a dragon. He's like, oh yeah. And then he goes, yeah, for a three-headed dog like Fluffy, all you got to do is play some music, and that'll put him right to sleep. And Harry is like, and Hagrid immediately does his, I should not have told you that. So then Harry runs right back to the castle. Now, here's where I have a problem with Hagrid. Okay? Hagrid didn't run after them. You didn't, because they stop, as you're about to say, they stop in the entrance
That's
looking
true.
for Dumbledore's office, and McGonagall's there. They have a conversation, and then Snape is there. They have a conversation. So they're there for a while. Hagrid doesn't come after them.
Hey, it's just kind of. I wonder where they're going.
When Harry and Hermione and Neville lose 150 points for Gryffindor, Hagrid doesn't go to McGonagall. Hagrid doesn't go to Dumbledore and say, hey, I had an illegal dragon. They were covering up for me. No, he's just like Hagrid, what are you doing? Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, and what wasn't he? They were drinking, right? So
At the pub?
he wasn't
Yes.
in his right mind. Yeah, just divulged too much information, and I think the person that he was playing cards with kept giving him alcohol. Hey, let's get
Kept
another
buying
drink.
him
Let's get
drinks.
another
Yep,
drink.
kept buying
So
him drinks.
they knew what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as bad as this was, you would think that this trio would try to solve this problem themselves, because that's kind of what they do. Oh, holy, this is bad. What are we going to do? Like, how are we going to fix this? But no, not this time. They did the right thing. The thing that they should have done all along that we've been saying, they decided they needed to tell Dumbledore right now, like yesterday. Okay, it's about time.
Yeah.
And I kind of think this is where Harry's, I'm going to stop meddling. I'm going to be good, kind of falls apart. Because Harry decided that this person under the cloak was either Snape or Voldemort. Either way, they know exactly how to get that Sorcerer's Stone now. Except they're 3 11-year-olds. I don't know about you, but when an 11-year-old runs up to me and says something just crazy, I'm probably not going to believe them at first. It's probably going to take a lot of convincing. And even then, I'm going to be like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. This is no different when they ran into Professor McGonagall. McGonagall told them that Dumbledore was not there. So Harry threw caution to the wind and told her... Which is
another huge blow for them.
Yeah, that's why I said
because they know that Voldemort is afraid of Dumbledore. So Dumbledore being gone is now another oh no.
And they keep saying as long as Dumbledore is there, the stone is safe.
Yeah.
So it's a really good piece of the puzzle that J.K. put in here. As long as Dumbledore is here, the stone is safe. And now all of a sudden he gets this urgent call to go to the ministry, and he left immediately. Right? This urgent call probably didn't come from the ministry. And if it did, someone was under like not a Fidelius charm, like a Cruciatus curse or something like that. So Imperious, yeah. I don't know why I keep mixing those two up.
I'm here for you.
But so Harry now he throws caution to the wind and tells her it's about the Philosopher's Stone, and McGonagall's just flabbergasted. How do you know about that? She drops everything she has and she says, "I assure you, the stone is well protected. Dumbledore is not here. Now, don't worry about this. Go outside." And there you go again. 3 11-year-olds. Dumbledore's gone. And it's at this point that Harry's promised himself just, okay, that's gone. Dumbledore's not here. Now we got to do something.
Yeah. So she tells Harry, Ron, and Hermione not to worry about it and just drop it. So obviously they didn't listen to her.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have listened to her either. I mean, she says, go outside and get some sunshine. Now, I'm a person, I don't like the sunshine. I'm in the sunshine all day. I don't even want to be in it. So I'm not going to go outside and act like I'm enjoying the sunshine, because that's probably the worst thing I could imagine doing. I won't even go to a theme park in the summer because, it's sunny, it's nice out. No, that means I don't want to be outside. It's not nice out. That's not my version of nice.
Shoot, I'm all about the outdoors. My favorite sport is golf. I love theme parks in the summertime. I'm all
even when it's sunny.
Especially when it's sunny.
My girlfriend thinks something's wrong with me. She's like, "You're depressing. You the clouds. It's all dark and gloomy. That's depressing." Yeah. I said, "No, it makes me so happy."
So Harry is now like, well, it's going to be tonight. Somebody's going to try to steal the Philosopher's Stone tonight. They got Dumbledore out of the castle, and obviously, he's right. But at that very moment, Snape showed up, and Snape does his Snape thing, where he knew they were up to something, and he told them, "Oh, what are you guys doing inside? You should go outside. You don't want to be lurking. You're going to be suspicious. You want to be more careful hanging around like this. People might think you're up to something." And Gryffindor can't afford to lose any more points. So he's like, hey, we're going to threaten him. And then
I just love that. People were thinking up, pause, to something. Oh, it's great.
Something.
It's great.
Alan Rickman.
It's great.
It's so iconic. I know you love that word. So iconic.
I love it.
So Snape leaves, and they're like, look, Voldemort's out, or Dumbledore's out. It's got to be us. Or he goes, it's going to be me. He goes, I'm gonna go
Yeah, not
about going
us,
about.
me. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. But
don't
they
be
come
the
up with a
hero. Don't be
plan.
the hero.
Yeah, they come up with a plan. Hermione's going to tell, kind of follow Snape, and then Harry and Ron are going to look, in the castle, make sure nobody goes into the third floor corridor. And, if Snape shows up, then Hermione can be like, well, I'm looking for, Professor Flitwick. I want to talk about my charms. Well, McGonagall sees Harry and Ron, tells them to get out. And they're like, well, okay, well, cool. Get away from here. At least Hermione's tailing Snape. And then she shows up. It was like Snape came out. I told him I needed to see Professor Flitwick, and he got Professor Flitwick. So now I don't know where
He
Snape
actually
is.
went to go get him.
Yeah. So it's like it was a quick plan. It was a good plan. The plan did not work.
No, the plan. No. Yeah, it sounded good, but no. I mean, it was very believable too. I mean, Hermione would go to a teacher to ask about something about the test.
Sure. Yeah.
And McGonagall at this point is like, dude, seriously?
I know.
Again? Just go outside. So McGonagall found Harry and Ron and threatened to take 50 points off of her own house. This is how done with this situation she is.
Well, she already did that when she gave them detention, so it's not like this is new. You taking.
Well, now it's like if I see you around here again, I'm going to take more points. It's not like you're not. They're not anywhere they're not supposed to be. Yeah. They're just like, get out of my sight. Like, you're bugging me. I don't want to see you no more. McGonagall was so fed up with this whole situation that she threatened to take 50 points away from Gryffindor if she caught them there again, which I would think if she sees them at all, she's going to take 50 points away because she's just that done with it. Like, I know she already took 50 points away from each of them when they were doing the dragon thing, but this is just, I don't want to see you. I'm going to take points away from you if I see you again. It's kind of like you're growing up and your parents are like, go outside. Go outside. I don't want to see you. Go outside. We don't do that now, but, when we grew up, it's kind of how it was. So now that Harry has, decided, okay, this is a me job and only me, one 11-year-old child, I can handle this. He mentions the invisibility cloak. And Ron said, okay, well, are all three of us going to be able to fit under there? And pretty much it was from there on out, it was the three of them, like the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all. So, I don't know. It seems like they need another plan, though, don't they? Well, I think any plan involving the invisibility cloak is probably better than the plan they previously came up with.
Yeah, because it's like you could have used the invisibility cloak earlier.
Yeah.
If you're just going to stalk a hallway, get the cloak.
Yeah, it's like, you got a plan? Nope, let's go. So now, with the invisibility cloak, they got a plan. They had plenty of time to come up with that, seeing as the Gryffindors were still mad at them for losing points. And they might lose more if they see McGonagall again.
Lose more.
As soon as everybody was asleep and the coast was clear, they were off to the third floor corridor with the cloak and a wooden flute that Hagrid had made Harry for Christmas. So it came in handy, even though I said that's a cool gift, but I'm almost 39 and I think lame things are cool, I guess. But hey, at least you're going to be able to use it now. Well, so everybody's asleep except for Neville Longbottom. I would imagine he's upset that they lost points, and he knows the three of them are doing it, and he's, I don't know, kind of sounds like he took it upon himself to kind of like make sure that they don't do anything stupid to lose more points. Maybe McGonagall will talk to him like, hey, keep your eye on these three.
Yeah, I think, well, if you remember, all the Gryffindors and Hufflepuffs and Ravenclaws were shunning Harry, Hermione, and Neville. So with Harry, Hermione, and Ron together, no one's talking to Neville. So it's almost like he's, they just got done with exams, so it's not like I don't think he thinks that they're up to something. I just think he is alone
Yeah, that's
and
true.
is just
Through no
there.
fault of his own either. So
Yeah,
it
he
makes
is
it even
just
worse.
all by himself.
But he tries to talk some sense into them, but would wind up getting cursed. And Ron, Neville goes, "You're the one that told me to stand up for myself." And Ron goes, "Yeah, not to us."
Not us, you idiot. There he goes, said, "Don't be an idiot." He's like, "Oh, don't call me an idiot." And Harry's so funny. He looks at Hermione, "Please do something."
Do something. And that something came in the form of Petrificus Totalis. That was a curse that Hermione used on Neville. This is a curse that basically binds your whole body up to the point where you become stiff as a board and can't move at all unless someone performs the counter curse, Episci Finite Incantatem, or the Reparifor spell. The anti-paralysis potion could also be used to cure someone who this curse has hit. It's
Interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the more useful curses that I think actually get used throughout the whole movie. It's a real handy curse. I mean, Petrificus Totalis, you're down there unless somebody finds you and performs the counter curse. I mean, that's pretty useful in my opinion. So that's it. I mean, they're really going to do it. They're going to go to this monstrous three-headed dog again, but this time they're actually going to open the door and play some music for it. They were just hoping to head Snape off. So the coast was clear the whole time up until they ran into Peeves, who was loosening the rugs so he could watch people trip over them for laughs. But Peeves, being a poltergeist, he knew someone was there. Now, the Bloody Baron is the only ghost in the castle, or maybe the only ghost being entity that Peeves will listen to because he's terrified of the Bloody Baron. Harry remembered this and immediately put on an act to sound like the Bloody Baron. It worked, and through the third floor corridor they went. Corridor door.
Corridor door.
Corridor door. Corridor door. Sorry.
I know, right? So now they've got the third floor corridor to themselves. They open the door and Fluffy's there.
Real quick before we get there.
Yeah.
Man, you got to remember, these are three 11-year-olds. If you're 11 and you're thinking this stuff was going on, how quick would it, or how long would it take you to realize, like, this is happening tonight and we have to act now? Like, I don't know. It just seems like they jumped, like, this is happening tonight. We got to go now. Like, how do you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, for Harry, because Ron and Hermione are only doing it because Harry did it. And Harry or Ron and Hermione kind of like bring up some stuff. Oh, what about the points? Or what if we're expelled? And Harry's like, what if Voldemort gets the stone? Who cares about the House Cup? Who cares if I'm expelled? If he gets the stone, he's going to try to kill me. And I think Ron and Hermione, who have not been in that, not that mindset, are now like, oh, dang. And really, they might be able to extrapolate. Look, if he kills Harry or tries to kill Harry, he was in charge of, he was the reason for the first Wizarding War.
yeah.
Harry, Hermione's read all of the, recent modern historical stuff. So I think that's one of those, if it is Snape trying to get the stone and Voldemort is outside of Hogwarts and Dumbledore is not at Hogwarts, I could be dead soon. So I got to do that. That's kind of my that's kind of my thing.
This is where I think the first book could have been a little bit longer because Harry went from
Oh, for sure.
he went from the Dursleys and what we didn't get to Hogwarts till chapter 6, I think. And very quickly, he went from knowing everything here that he didn't know to deducing that, hey, Voldemort's trying to get this stone. It's just a lot of information for somebody that's completely ignorant to all of this to just grab onto so quickly. But I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's like, man, how did you figure all this stuff out so quick? With, he didn't do a lot to really figure it out either. In my opinion.
Sure. Well, he's known about the stone for months.
Yeah.
Right. He's known that since Halloween, that Snape's trying to get through the door. Right. He's known that Snape has been trying to get information from Quirrell. So, it's not like he just found out today that there's a threat.
Yeah.
So I think, once he figured out that Hagrid told somebody how to get past Fluffy, and now that Dumbledore's gone.
And I guess what, at this point, I wonder how long a school year is in Hogwarts. Traditionally, it's 9 months.
I mean, you assume September to June.
Yeah,
right? September 1st to June. Then you got June, July, August for summer holidays.
Yeah.
And then back September 1st.
It's been about 9 months that he had time to learn all this. And like we say, there's no information on Harry Potter before we see him as a baby. We see him 10, almost 11. So, I don't know. Maybe he's really smart and pays attention a lot and really observant and can read a room real good. And we just don't know that.
He can do math.
Yeah, he can do math.
He can do math.
He made a point to make that sure.
Talking about that. So this is where, like, right here, and this part, this is where we kind of, the movies change a bunch of little things and even delete some of the scenes. And then here in the book, they open. Remember that? So in the movie,
well, that's even why I asked. Like, I don't remember Hermione flying in the movies, other than being a passenger. And right here, they shouldn't have left that out.
Yeah. So in the movies, they open the door and Fluffy is asleep, and in the book, Fluffy is awake. He just can't see them because they're under the invisibility cloak, and they see the harp is laying on the ground.
Yeah.
So Fluffy is sniffing, and then Harry starts to play the flute, and Fluffy goes to sleep. Ron and Hermione open up the trap door, and they're like, bro, we can't see anything down there. So Harry, like, okay, come get this. I'm going to go down. And he's like, look, if I go down and something happens to me, do not come after me. Go to the Owleries and Hedwig to get Dumbledore. So he falls through this hole, this trap door, and then down comes Ron. And
God, how long, if you were standing there at that trap door looking down, you couldn't see the bottom, how long would it take you to get the courage to go down that trap door?
Oh, not a chance. I'm going to get my broom. I'm going to get a rope. I'm going to get something. I'm not just falling in a black hole.
No.
Right? I'm not just falling in a black hole. So they all go down. And here's a fun thing. Here's kind of like, remember how earlier in the book they're like, oh, one galleon is the size of a hubcap. It's almost like non-realistic.
Yeah.
So they get down there, and Hermione, she goes, we must be miles under the school.
As you can hear her voice from down below, up a couple miles, yeah.
Yeah, so that got me thinking. They were on the third floor corridor. They were in the third floor, and they felt miles. So I did the math. If Ron weighs 100 pounds at 11 years old, and he fell 2 miles That is it's almost 26 seconds fall. You're falling for 26 seconds. That's if it's only 2 miles. She says we're miles under the school. Let's say it's 3 or 4 miles. 4 miles, you're almost at a minute, right? So when they landed on whatever they landed on, after falling for 2 miles, dead. Dead.
Honestly, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't even do that to water, right? There's like,
Well, I mean,
uh,
I wouldn't think that they're miles under the third floor. Okay, they at least went down 4 floors.
that's
At least.
my head. That's what I think. But it's funny to hear Hermione,
Yeah.
the brightest witch of the, be like, oh, we must be miles, Hermione.
The
Calm
first
down.
thing I would do is be like, "Can you hear me?"
Yeah. This is not miles.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
so
And
they
her
jump
being as
in.
smart as she is saying that, that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, Hermione.
Yeah. So they land on what turns out to be a plant. Okay, which is great until the plant starts wrapping its tendrils around the golden trio.
Oh, that would freak me out.
So this is where this is where it's a little different in the book as well, or in the movie as well, because she tells them to stop moving, right? And they fall through, and she falls through, and Ron like can't calm down, and it gets tighter. And in the
Good thing I
book,
didn't panic.
yeah, and in the book, she's like, "Oh, devil snare, devil snare! It's afraid of the light." And they're like, "Then start a fire." And Hermione,
There's no wood.
there's no wood. He goes, now this is a panicky situation, so I get she's 11-year-old under pressure here. Are you a witch or not?
Yeah.
And so Devil Snare, which, learned about in herbology, a deadly plant with a tendency to use its tentacle-like tendrils to trap victims. Devil Snare thrives in a dark and damp environment and so recoils from light and warmth. So, Devil Snare, what did Professor Sprout say? It likes the dark and the damp. So, light a fire.
Yeah.
And so she does. She uses the spell for the blue flames that she used earlier in the book, and that spell, Lumos Solum, is what it's written here, and it produces a blinding bright light. But in the book, she does the blue flame. So they get through what is assumed to be Professor Sprout, the herbology professor.
Yeah.
They get through, so they've gotten through Hagrid's defense, which is Fluffy. Now they've gotten through Sprout's defense, which was Devil Snare.
And there's a lot of different ways to produce some sort of light. Yeah, Lumos Maxima, Lumos
Lumos
Solem,
Maxima,
then there's the
yeah.
fire, and yeah, there's a lot. So now that we've gotten through Professor Sprout's little what did Snape little hocus pocus, they moved on to the damp, dark cave like passages until they came up to another challenge. Flying keys, which must have been Professor Flitwick's enchantment. They had to find the one that fit the door. 3 brooms lay to the side. The flight was on. There was one key that had wings that were crumpled and slightly different. That's the one that opened the door. You can go ahead and do the third challenge.
You want me to do the third challenge? Okay,
Sure.
so I like how they did it in the movie for well, technically the keys are the first challenge, the third challenge, but I like that in the
Oh, that's
movie.
true. Yeah.
Didn't the keys chase after them? Like, didn't it
Yeah.
start like dive bombing them? I thought
I
that
think
was
there was a
cool.
bunch of silver keys, and then there was like a
Yeah.
big gold one.
Yeah, because there were hundreds. So when they walked in, they thought it was just birds, right? They
Yeah.
thought it was birds, and they walked through, or well, one of them ran through, and the birds didn't chase them. And the doors locked. Alohomora didn't work, and then they look up. They're sparkly. Okay, they're keys. And then Ron, I think, was like, "We're looking for a big silver one that would match the doorknob. And then there's the
Yeah.
brooms, and so they chase it, they get it, cool. So then
And
probably the most
Hermione was also involved flying a broom, chasing
yes,
around.
they
Yes.
all yeah, all three of them. And so then they go to the next room, and there is this giant chess set, giant chessboard, and they were behind the black pieces, and they look over and they see these gigantic white pieces that were faceless, which I feel like gives it a more ominous feeling.
Yeah.
Right, I feel like it gives it a
Yeah.
more ominous feeling, and so this part I hope they change in the Max HBO Max series.
Really?
I didn't like how the pieces just slid slowly in the movie. I'd like for them to like move like actual like pieces like we're at war, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Well, you
I
got to
think they can
remember back in the day that that just
yeah.
technology just
Yeah, yeah,
it-
yeah. So Ron is like, I think we've got to play our way across. So he goes, he puts his hand on one of the black pieces, and as soon as he does that, the black piece comes to life. And he says, "Hey, do we have to join you to get to the other side of the room?" And nods his head. So he's like, "Okay, what do we got to do?" So Ron is like, "No offense, but you guys suck at chess." And Harry's like, "We're not offended. Just tell us what to do. Like, let's go." So Ron takes a knight. He's got Harry and Hermione take other pieces, and they play their way
play
through.
chess. Yeah.
And Ron has to sacrifice himself in order for Harry to mate the king. And in the book, it says that the queen hits him on his head with her arm. And in the movie, I think she just like stabs the horse he's on and he falls.
I
So
want
like
to see. I want to see how good of a Ron you could do. So I'm gonna play Hermione,
okay,
and
okay,
I
okay.
got I got. Oh, this is a lot of lines for me.
I believe in you.
No.
That's chess. You've got to make some sacrifices. I'll make my move and she'll take me. That leaves you free to checkmate the king, Harry. Do you want to stop Snape or not?
That's great.
I feel pretty good. Rupert, if you ever listen to that, I
Oh.
apologize. I feel like you did a lot better than I
Well,
did.
I like the movie version too, but
Oh,
we'll
the
do
movie version.
yeah
Yeah,
we'll do that when we review the movie.
we'll do a movie review. But so anyway, so Ron is knocked unconscious. Harry makes his move. The king takes off his crown, and then Harry and Hermione run to the door, and Harry's like, "Let's go. He'll be okay. We got to get to the next door."
Yeah,
Do you
so
want me?
this challenge it's not in the movies at all, and I feel like they did a disservice to the book because this would be
It's a good scene.
this would
I mean,
be
yeah.
Snape's. Did I mention it here?
Well,
Yeah, it
the
would be
next two, yeah, the
yeah.
next two aren't there.
Yeah. So okay, so they go on to the next challenge, the fourth challenge. I guess it would be the fifth because of the dog. It's
Sure.
Quirrell's enchantment. Quirrell's challenge. It was a troll, but he was already knocked out because obviously somebody had already gotten in there. So this fifth challenge is where I say they did a disservice to the books because this is great. So the fifth challenge was Snape's enchantment, potions. It had a riddle. Danger lies before you, while safety lies behind. Two of us will help, whichever you would find. One among us, seven, will let you move ahead. Another will transport the drinker back instead. Two among our number hold only nettle wine. Three of us are killers, waiting hidden in line. Choose, unless you wish to stay here forevermore, to help you in your choice. We give you these clues for.
Yeah, because
First,
remember when they go in this room, flames pop up in front of the door that they just came from and the door that they have to leave. So
yeah,
they have to drink a potion
there's no
in
way
order to
out
make it.
unless,
Yeah, so it's like you choose or you're staying here. Like you're not
yeah,
getting through that fire, which is I can't wait to see that.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, that'll be cool.
yeah, that will be very cool. Oh man, I just imagine what they could do with this series, just with the effects they could do now.
I'm excited.
First, however, slyly, the potion tries to hide you. Will always find some on Nettlewine's left side. Second, different are those who stand at either end. But if you would move onward, neither is your friend. Third, as you see clearly, all are different size. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. Fourth, the second left and second right are twins. Once you taste them, though, different at first sight. So it's, to someone like me, I guess, your normal average day person, I'd go, huh? And I'd probably have to read that a lot. But Hermione, being the bookworm she is, thought this, it's so simple. She solved it very fast. The smallest bottle, enough for only one to continue. She even knew which one was the one to get back. It was obvious what had to be done. Harry had to go on, and Hermione had to go get help. So, this is what Harry wanted in the first place. He wanted to go it alone, and in the end, it's what's happening. So Harry told Hermione exactly what to do and went through the door. Just like they had expected, someone was in that last door. But it wasn't who they thought, and it wasn't Snape. And thankfully, it wasn't really Voldemort.
Wasn't even Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I really hope they put that. I mean, it's probably such a short scene too, but just seeing all the potions there and them reading the riddle, and I could picture Hermione reading the riddle. It would be great.
Well, and she says something. Yeah, she says something important in the book. She goes, "Most wizards aren't good at logic." Mm-hmm. And so, from what we know, what I think is what is cool about Snape, we knew he grew up. He's half wizard. So we know that his mom is wizard, but he had a father. So it's almost like he took a little bit of his upbringing, and
he's one of the, at least in the Harry Potter series, he's one of the smartest, if not one of the most powerful wizards in the series. I mean,
very
I don't
smart,
think
very
he doesn't get
powerful.
enough credit. So let's jump into our final thoughts here.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure this chapter is, I think it was necessary. There was a lot that happened in this chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear your thoughts about this. Could it have done without it? Could it have done without it?
No.
Yeah.
No. Number one, for a myriad of reasons, right? It gets us to the stone, right? We know that there's enchantments. And
how frustrating would it have been if we have to go now, and then all of a sudden they're right there at the end, right where Harry is right now? Yeah, well, that would have been terrible.
Here's my question. As far as, again, it's book one, and I don't think she knew how serious the series was going to get. But from a logical standpoint, well, I guess I can't ask that yet because we'll cover it in the next chapter. But if it was,
Can it be vague? Can it be vague?
No, unless we reveal who the villain is.
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
Unless I reveal who the villain is. But yeah, it's as far as first time reading it, great chapter.
Yeah.
Great chapter. They have to work through getting stuff, and as you're reading through it, or if you're listening to Jim Dale read it to you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a magical chapter. It's a dangerous
it is.
chapter.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a problem solving. You know, the reward is always better when you go through a struggle with the protagonist.
Well, and it's like
that's what we get to do with Harry.
Yeah, you get to see that Harry was pretty much right all along. Even Ron and Hermione had their doubts, and I think they were more. He seems pretty serious. Maybe we should just go along with it. And you know, what's the worst that could happen? None of this is actually happening, and we go, oh well, let's go back to our corridor.
Yeah.
You know, so they gave him the benefit of the doubt, and they trusted him, and they went with him, and. You know, it solidified the trio a little bit more. Like, hey, I'm going to go at this alone. Right?
Sure.
Oh, the invisibility cloak. Oh, wait. Well, do you think all three of us? All three of us? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid. We're all going with you. Yeah, so there's a lot to this chapter. And it sets up perfectly. Chapter 17. The Man with Two Faces.
Ooh.
And I like
Very
that title
exciting.
too, The Man with Two Faces. It's great. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. This was a long chapter. This is probably one of the longest chapters we've probably recapped so far, and I think we kept it on a decent time too. So if you want to get a hold of us, if you want to be a guest, if you want to do a recap with us, or just tell us your Harry Potter story, or come on and have us ask you a bunch of questions, reach out to us. Instagram.com, search for Squibs Corner. YouTube, search Squibs Corner. Email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. If we're not somewhere, if you can't find us, that means we're not on that platform. So search either Instagram, Facebook, not Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Gmail. You know, it gets a little bit overwhelming if I go everywhere. I try to keep up on TikTok, but it's a lot. So join us next time when we read The Man with Two Faces. And would it surprise you, Andrew, if I said I forgot to get a quote to sign this out with?
What if I told you I have a quote?
I saw you searching.
Okay. And it's the one I just wanted to make sure, and this one's dedicated to Neville, and we'll hear it in the next chapter. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Squibs Corner is hosted by Jeremiah Lobaugh and co-hosted by Andrew Beecham, myself. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a rate and review. To inquire about being a guest, or if you have questions, comments, or just want to give us your Harry Potter story, email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. To watch Harry Potter merch unboxings, follow Jeremiah's YouTube, Accio Potter Guy. Lastly, you can leave us a voice memo and follow us on Instagram at Squibs Corner Podcast.